Hey guys, what's up? It's BigJackFilms here, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the next installment of the Jurassic Park Legacy Reviews. But I'm afraid we don't have too much time, so I'm just gonna cut right to the chase. This production began shortly after the release of Jurassic World Dominion in the writing process, and took a couple of years to put off the ground due to our 10th anniversary special and a few other projects we had to do on the side. Now, for a little disclaimer in regards to us covering the whole Netflix series, we're only covering Camp Cretaceous. We had no idea that Jurassic World Chaos Theory would be coming out, and we're only going to briefly mention it and slightly review it in this episode. Will we cover it in the future? Maybe. There's no guarantees on that, especially given the fact that we have Jurassic Park 7 to look forward to. And this is probably our most elaborate production with Jurassic Park, and there's so many people to thank in the credits, and you'll see them as they go past, but I couldn't have done it without all their support from the cast and crew, and especially our supporters on Patreon. If you guys want to go donate to the channel, just $1 or more will get you early access to all of our content as well as other special features. So we hope you enjoy this 4-part endeavor. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this video with your friends, and enjoy the show. And I believe it's lunchtime. Hopefully for us. Welcome back to Jurassic Park. Enjoy. The following is a fan-based video review under fair use. The Jurassic Park and Jurassic World IP are owned by Universal Pictures, AMBLIN Entertainment, Legendary Pictures, Netflix, Steven Spielberg, Frank Marshall, Kathleen Kennedy, and the Micheal Crichton estate. Please support the official release and streaming services. So the new park management is kept anonymous, eh?
Yes, unfortunately I have no means to access that information. I was only created to ensure Hammond's vision stays alive.
That'll probably make things more complicated then. Oh wow. Is that the new nesting center?
Why yes, actually. This is where we keep our upcoming newborn assets of the park. Feel free to take a look.
Hopefully we're not actually in 2 hours, but you never know. We can't really rush Mother Nature. We're just a real veterinarian here at Jurassic Park. Oh, Dr. W here. Hello, hi, welcome. Yes, okay, it's happening. Dr. W is happening. And it is here we have a carnivore. Hello, beautiful, hi. There we go.
What species is this?
It's Velociraptor.
Big raptors. That is so cool! That's gonna keep the kids' attention. Which, by the way, Roger, how do you plan to keep the kids entertained outside of the attractions?
Oh, that. Yes, simple. We have Camp Jurassic.
Well, that's not what Netflix says. Taking place at the same time as Jurassic World, the series begins with a dinosaur enthusiast kid named Darius, voiced by Paul Michael Williams, who after winning a video game competition is given the opportunity to visit Camp Cretaceous, an exclusive adventure dinosaur camp on Isla Nublar on the theme park grounds of Jurassic World. Once there, he meets 5 other teenagers, with nerd boy Ben, voiced by Sean Giabron, socially awkward Yaz, voiced by Kaiser Mohammed, Brooklyn, voiced by Jenna Ortega, hotshot rich boy Kenji, voiced by Ryan Potter, and Sammy, voiced by Rayani Rodriguez, who were also chosen for the once-in-a-lifetime experience. However, as this is canon to Jurassic World, when the dinosaurs break free from their habitats, the campers are stranded and forced to venture across the island in hopes of finding a way out, alive. So, what's my take on this spin-off animated series? Well, I guess the best way to describe this show is that it's cute. Well, for one thing, while a tad better than, say, something like Fallen Kingdom to a degree, to be honest, it's okay. Nothing special, nothing really groundbreaking, it's just okay. It was a show that, while I was surprised was happening, was also hesitant to watch. Honestly, ever since the traumatic experience watching Kong King of the Apes, I wasn't sure if I wanted to watch any other Netflix CG animated series of any of their IPs in the future. I mean, hell, if you want to know how mixed or bad it gets, watch RAISORBLADE'S take on the How to Train Your Dragon franchise. And maybe this time Liam will come after me. I feel so left out!
But I'm being...
One day I'm gonna get you, Tubosaurus, because when you mess with the razor, you mess with the cream. And to be fair, caving into it, I was casually entertained in how it was not only a fun series, but did to a degree expand the Jurassic lore, filling in the gaps in between films. It was a good pastime to fill in the blanks that the movies to a degree didn't have the time to explain, with expanded world building, tons of animated dino action, and a fun band of characters to root for. Now, there's a ton of characters in this show, from sidelines to villains, so I'm really only gonna focus on the main kids, starting with the leader of the group, Darius, who has the most depth of the characters, with a bit of a sad backstory on why he went to Jurassic World, and explains his more family dynamics as a leader for the group. He is your typical optimistical, helmed-minded leader who takes the group through thick and thin through the jungles of Nublar, but always thinking on the bright side despite the dangers around him. He really keeps the team together and provides to be the main dinosaur expert, kinda like Alan Grant in the first movie.
Who better to get the children through Jurassic Park than a dinosaur expert?
The only downside is that not only is he way too happy-go-lucky, which is something I'll bring up in my cons later on. However, it doesn't contract the character's reasons for being in Jurassic World, let alone how he got there, which I won't give away, but needless to say, will tug at your heartstrings. Next up is Ben, who goes from the typical cowardice nerd to Tarzan in a really nice transition of time. Yeah, give the show credit, there's moments you feel characters are gone, and it becomes a great surprise to see them again. And Ben is the one who mostly has the arc of finding something to unlock in himself. The flow in his story of all things reminds me of Simon's transformation in that third load of live-action Chipmunks garbage when he becomes... You will never be that obscure 2000s movie with Al Pacino. Sorry, Chipmunks. I don't give a shit if you got another movie in the works. Why?! Now, while I did raise an eyebrow of concern given he reminds me of that little shit character in King of the Apes at first, the fear subsided when he became more tough and connected with the animals in the show, and provided some of the better comedy throughout. Now, for the last four, I'll group it together given while they have the least development in the show, they did manage to work better off with each other. Specifically Yaz and Sammy, which, to be honest, have a subtle but vibing chemistry between each other. Outside of the sequence of events Sammy has with her family and her reasons for coming, she finds a stronger relationship with the equally shy Yaz. Both have reasons for being there, but on different approaches. Sammy wants to find out what the villains of the series are scheming, while Yaz has to find herself in an unsuspecting world. Both at first shy of one another, given they both show signs of a much darker past in their childhoods, but eventually, in the survival sense, work well with each other and help out when they need it. Not to mention, forming some kind of romance later on in the series. I know some people have issues with it because, given our current political times, but this is a perfect example of where it suits the story well, and I was totally cool with it. It's not about who they are, you just have to write good characters. That's all we want in a good story. The show, oddly enough, for a kids program, actually discusses topics that I don't see many kids media doing that well, such as trauma, PTSD, and other matters that, let's be real, kids do go through a lot nowadays. So it's nice to see the show be a good role model and lesson for kids to understand these things, and I feel the writers did pretty well on it, balancing it, and given there's more coming, I'm kind of curious how it's all gonna play out. Though less can be said about Kenji and Brooklyn, unfortunately. It's not that they're bad characters, but they probably have the most generic and cliché in the group, who, while they try to give them depth, are the least interesting and predictable. Brooklyn is the typical valley girl, and Kenji is the tough, handsome type, so of course they're gonna ship them together. Kenji at first is kind of a dick and has an ego the size of a brachiosaur neck, but over time acts much more of a big brother to the team, whereas Brooklyn is the typical whiny brat. She does become more likable and uses her tech skills to her advantage given she acts as actually a social media follower. Yeah, hard to believe, but we are in an age now where modern tech and culture is starting to become more shown in media nowadays. And on the show, the social media life with Brooklyn, and even gaming with Darius, does play a part in the show's story to help the kids out as tools to get them out of the park. To be frank, there isn't much new to say about the group of Speilberg kids that we've seen in many other forms of media from the Goonies to Stranger Things, so it's gonna pass in this particular review. I mean, to be fair, Netflix is the reason why this trope is still around and revived with Stranger Things in of itself. While modern writing of kids is a factor in the show, the story actually works here for these kids in this scenario. While it takes a lot from Michael Crichton and also seems to be influenced by other book sources, anybody remember reading the trilogy of young adult novels called Island by Gordon Corman? It centers around a group of kids who get stranded on an island, learn to survive, and stumble across the horrors that plague the island with bad guys, nature, and a lost atomic bomb. The same is essentially the plot of the show, but with dinosaurs. I don't know if the writers on this show took influence intentionally from that, but if they did, that's really damn cool. And I would recommend everybody reading those books again. They still hold up. I mean, what would you rather have, that scenario or another Lord of the fucking Flies here? This also transitions to the villains, and to be honest, there might be too many. Yeah, sure, they find their gaps per season, but the biggest issue is that I don't really have enough time to get to know them or even remember their names outside of Dr. Wu or Louis Doxon. But even then, they couldn't even get their original voice actors. Dr. Wu is voiced by Glenn Chun, and Doxon is voiced by Adam Harrington. Seriously, what the hell? B.D. Wong is a good voice actor. He was shagging Mulan, for God's sakes. You mean you couldn't get him? In fact, his character sang one of the best Disney songs of all time. Let's get down to business to make dinosaurs. Though there are some actual guest stars on the show, including... Wait a minute, Bill Nye? The science guy?
First, the plant or animal has to die, and then it has to get buried.
I mean, granted, you're a better paleontologist than somebody like Jack Horner, but Bill Nye, you idiot, you're in the wrong theme park with dinosaurs.
Wait a minute, you're telling me that we're filling our gas tanks with dinosaur soup?
Although, to be fair, you were Doc Brown's assistant at the Institute of Future Technology, but we're getting off track. Whatever, moving on. Who else was in this show?
Hello there.
James Arnold Taylor?
That's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh my god, handling Joel Osment? I see dinosaurs. You could get these top name actors, but couldn't get the original voice actors for the characters that appear in the movies? God, this is as bad as the Jurassic Park game for the 3DO. But each villain other than them, I can't remember the names of if it saved my life. The only two I remember the most is the Hunter couple and Dennis Nedry's game-raged cousin. I don't care what their names are, and neither should you. They leave very little to the progression of the story. I can't even remember who the Nedry cousin is. It's not like there actually is a family member of Nedry working in Jurassic Park.
Uncle Dennis, I made it.
Why didn't Uncle Nedry ever work for Disneyland?
Holy shit, Lego, are you fucking kidding me? Stop building memes and jokes into the fucking lore! It's a joke!
He's Bradley, the laziest explorer at Jurassic Park.
But who cares about that? Let's talk about the dinosaurs. And on this show, there's tons of them. To the point that I honestly think it's too much. How so? Well, let's talk about what I like first. Mainly that given it's a kid's show, they don't shy away from the tone of the films where the dinosaurs are and always remain the intimidation and dangerous threat. In fact, the dark tone stays even here with character deaths and very scary scenarios for these kids. It's kinda shocking to see this kind of shit put into a lot of children's entertainment nowadays. We've come a long way from the conservative parenting of the 1990s that practically censored every IP that was aimed at children, and it's nice to see that the creators don't see their kids as dumb and can handle material like this.
I was expecting a little child's movie. I mean, the little dinosaur kind that goes stomping across the screen and squishing people with yelling in the background. But this movie was not like that. It was a horror film.
Kids, you want to have one of those?
I think there's a huge mixed message here. The subject is dinosaurs. That's a children's subject there.
Oh, shut up.
And with that out of the way, I do like to see much more of the dinosaurs from the entire franchise up to this point, included in the series. There are cameos from the classics like Rexy, Blue, the Mosasaurus, and even the Indominus Rex is in there too. And it's cool to see the show expand their roles and how these animals behaved after the park closed. However, we do get some new dinosaurs in there too. Sure, some of them made their appearances in other films, from Stegosaurus, Triceratops, Parasaurolophus, which actually have some new color patterning, and so many more. Hell, the Compies are more prominent here as a threat since their Lost World days, but we also see how InGen, among others, were knee-deep into making more species, from Kentrosaurus, among other dinosaurs, and it's cool to see all of them in action. However, for this show, there's two exclusive creatures that do leave a cool impact on the series, and the first one, of course, being the Scorpius Rex, and goddamn does it leave an impression. This monster is one of the many hybrids planned for the World Series, and I'd say next to the Indominus, this thing is my second favorite, even topping the Indoraptor from Fallen Kingdom. It's nocturnal, has a creepy body type, and even spurs that projectile out that can poison its prey. It's a dinosaur right out of hell, and a creature that returns to the franchise's horror roots of the first film, similar to the Troodons of the Jurassic Park game by Telltale, which, yes, I've heard many want me to play and review. However, that's tough due to 1, being not really canon, and 2, a really expensive game to get on the secondhand market. Plus, the Scorpius isn't the only hybrid in the show. Given the series gives more background on other dinosaur dealings that the movies don't really have time for, with the weirdest being the hybrid of a Ceratopian and a Spinosaurus, which, while cute, kinda gave me Alien Resurrection vibes, not gonna lie. However, the most prominent and posterized new dinosaurs in the series isn't really a new creature, but more so plays a part of the cute factor of marketing with the fan-favorite ankylosaur, Bumpy. What are my thoughts on Bumpy? What do you think? He's freaking adorable. Look at this little guy. Hello. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this guy was adorable. While the films don't really have a baby dinosaur as a center point of the plot, minus maybe the Lost World and Dominion, but we'll get into that later, it's cool to see Bumpy make such an impact for audiences of the series, especially little kids who find him the most attention-grabbing. I mean, hell, even at Jurassic World they got him here as an attraction. Despite being an already established dinosaur, they do add something new to it, establishing how Bumpy Bumpy can actually grow at a fast pace compared to other members of his species, making him much more intriguing for genetic scientists in the show, to the point where Bumpy ain't even around much to stay cute and actually becomes a full-grown adult, which is something I actually like in this particular trope. That trope, of course, being the toyetic nature of the series, but we'll talk about that later. The show's story mostly takes place during and after the events of Jurassic World, giving the park and plot more depth and world building to make the films more engaging. They dropped the names of Owen and Claire in there for continuity, and even got those, like I said, with Dr. Wu. But the show's included canon to the lore goes beyond that, with its inclusion of the show and its dinosaurs being included in the likes of Jurassic World Live, among other pieces of media to promote the following film, Fallen Kingdom, which was coming out around the same time as the show did. It's nice to see a show like this really give the franchise more world building and make the newer films more accepting to newcomers and fans, something that really started with the likes of the Clone Wars for Star Wars. Speaking of back history, this would be a good time to talk about the show's origins and talk about how the idea of a Jurassic Park animated series goes all the way back to the first movie. The show was pitched to not only be on the likes of Fox Kids, but to continue the franchise line of toys by Kenner. This was also a staple of 90s cartoons to adapt their biggest franchises into animated series thanks to Batman at the time. Oddly enough, co-produced by Spielberg, but slightly uncredited after his work on Animaniacs and Tiny Toons for Warner Brothers. The show was being planned at the time as part of a pre-Lost World soft canon to the likes of the video games and comics, but when the Lost World was ramping up pre-production, the show was ultimately cancelled before it hit production to not interfere with the canon of Steven's sequel, though it was to be the crown jewel of quality for the small-timed company Universal Cartoon Studios, having success with other animated series from Back to the Future, Fievel's American Tales, and even cashing in on the direct-to-video sequel craze that Disney was doing with the follow-ups to the Fievel films, BOTELHO, even a Herc and Xena crossover, and of course, the Land Before Time sequels and TV series. Which maybe, given the dinosaurs more prominent in Camp Cretaceous, actually was giving me strong vibes on. And I'm okay with that given I grew up with those sequels. Seriously, in some scenarios I wanted to play James Horner or Michael Tavara's music over some of the fights, and they really work here. Success of Jurassic World some 20 years later, Universal jumped into making the series a canonical cash-in, teaming up with Netflix to distribute the series with exclusive streaming services to their recently purchase of Spielberg's own DreamWorks Animation, making this my second round at this company since my Chicken Run review. And like I said before, while I do like DreamWorks, I'm more of a fan of their early 90s/2000s 2D animated movies, for multiple reasons. But with the show, I can accept the animation here, even if it has that Netflix-esque quality of character movement and camera angles. Seriously, has anybody ever noticed the same character animation in all of these Netflix shows? They always seem to have a rush, have the same pace and camera angles, and they always appear to look suspicious. But that's just me. And hey, it beats the crappy motion capture you see in most cheap anime productions. It looks like it was shot in the Kinect.
The Jurassic Park Legacy Reviews will be right back.
Frank! We gotta get out of here! No, I'm serious! Now! Listen to me! Hey, nice watch.
Now at Burger King, the Lost World Jurassic Park watches. Collect all 4, each just $1.99 when you buy any value meal.
Is that a Stegosaurus? I don't think so.
We now return to the Jurassic Park Legacy Reviews on BigJackFilms.
But outside of the obvious animated manual keys that feel a tad cheap on this type of show, I will admit the series has a few flaws that bug me, so let's cut to the chase. Or mildly jog for it. First off, while Darius is the main character to root for and has the most weight to carry, I will admit, he's too pure. Like, I get it, he's a kid, he likes dinosaurs, the enthusiasm for his interest shows brighter than a fucking flare at a T-Rex, but his biggest flaw is his constant flubs in getting everyone back home. No joke, every chance they get to get out of here with time of the essence, this kid always has to put other shit and the dinosaurs above him and his friends getting home. And nobody ever bothers to let him understand that. This is the main reason the show at times kind of drags, and honestly did not need to be 4 seasons long. 3 at max, and I'm not gonna lie, the pacing can be off a few times for me, and the show can drag in scenarios with a lot of unmemorable characters, mostly in the villains, which, to be honest, have too many one-offs. It kinda reminds me of the monster of the week that you would see in a tokusatsu like Power Rangers or Sailor Moon. I keep expecting Sailor Moon to use her Moon Tiara magic to turn them into moon dust, not have the dinosaurs take care of them. Although, given Inuyasha Dinosaur 101's project coming up, that's probably going to be a given. In fact, the main antagonist of the series, with the company of Manticore, is barely given any time to properly function, and by the end of it, it was confusing to know what company was what, with Biosyn seemingly thrown into the final season as ordered by Universal to coincide with the release of Dominion, feeling really half-assed and throwing the writing off course. They even have DAXON show up, and he really adds nothing to the show's finale at all. And that's my problem with all the human villains. The common question of, who are you, where did you come from, and why are you in this? They really needed to focus on one set of villains and let them flesh out. The other thing I don't like about the villains is their substitute use for these robot things. They never show up in any of the later films and just feel like a dead track to subsidize the uses of the dinosaurs. And it feels really out of place. This doesn't feel like something Manticore or Biosyn or InGen would design. This is something the frickin' Shredder would design with Baxter Stockman. I keep expecting the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to come in and kick their asses. In fact, why not have some of the villainous dinosaurs be the minions of the villains? If you're gonna push this weaponized dinosaur thing, why not have it be the Cyberaptors? Or, you know, pull the freaky source material of the frickin' book! Now, I know what you're thinking, oh, but they actually do use some of the villainized dinosaurs as minions. Yeah, but much like the villains themselves, they're just one-off Monster of the Week characters. They're so poor and misused, they're ultimately pointless. So what's your excuse? Yeah, I gotta bring this up now and address something that most fans were really excited to see, and once again left disappointed with the glorious return of the Spinosaurus aegypticus from Jurassic Park 3, which, that reminds me, I have a debt to pay from 2018. Hang on a sec. I'm sorry! I'm so sorry! Just to sidetrack quickly here so I don't end up how I did with Peter Jackson's King Kong, that since the release of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, my opinions of Jurassic Park 3 have since changed. That was back before the 4th movie came out, and much like everyone else, I hated this movie. Not just for clout, but seeing it as a kid in 2001, I was disappointed for reasons that have since cooled off. I mean, granted, some stuff still lingers in, pissing me off, but since the last 2 films, even those have had time to settle. I think looking at it as it stands now in the canon story, it's actually aged a lot better than I remember it being. Not just for the plot, but for the tone and effort put in. This is easily Stan Winston at his peak with the animatronics, and I overlooked that while it did have that new Millennium Silver tone and color, it still managed to stay true to the tone of the first 2 films. It's also a similar story and shorter than the rest, and after 2 films clocking over 2 hours, it's not that bad of a pace. it provides more for the lore, showcasing new exciting creatures, and ranks higher in the franchise for me. Had it been the final chapter, I could still see in myself being the more disappointing, but where it stands, it's now gone from a 5 out of 10 to a 7 out of 10 for me. It may not be perfect, but it's a fun popcorn flick and a good movie to catch on TV when it's on, especially for its main threat in the Spinosaurus. Despite being historically inaccurate as fuck given today's science. Which brings us to his surprise appearance in Camp Cretaceous. After being shafted from the World Trilogy entirely along with the second breed of Sornoraptors, it was a surprise to see his welcome return to the franchise being a continuing threat to the series, even getting the note of not being a fan of humans, which granted his escapades in 3 is understandable. However, much like with Jurassic Park 3, I still have some issues with this guy, not only for questioning how he got here and how he's lasted for this long, but also in his place in the story, which, to be honest, feels shoehorned in, and a desperate attempt at fan service. He isn't given much screen time to show a sense of being anticipated, and his roar? Yeah, like everyone else, I have to ask, what the hell happened to the sound department? The roars are botched and unrecognizable for this animal. From what I've been told, the original negatives for the sound of the creature were lost a long time ago and couldn't be replicated. Well... I know it's not the most prominently legal thing to do, but relying for fan support online to obtain restored audio and video is a much better option than just giving up. Had Universal gone to the online communities to find restored versions of these sounds, I think the scenario would have been saved. But it's clear that studios don't really like engaging with fans for reasons. So what we got with the return of Spinosaurus is honestly a tad disappointing. Let alone realizing there were 2 specimens made with what happened to me last time I saw this damn thing. Now, the villain's motivation, like I said, makes no sense, but I mean it in terms of it being a dumb plan. And that has mostly been the villains in the Jurassic World movies. Big, dumb, evil plans that make no goddamn sense and aren't in any way Jurassic. And the villains here are no exception. What do I mean by that? Well, it all culminates into the final season, as we see the head of Manticore is none other than Kenji's father, who plans to use the dinosaurs as essentially radio-controlled action figures to fight.
God, I don't know what I was smoking to come up with that.
Seriously, what is it with the military's obsession with weaponizing dinosaurs and turning them into fucking dino riders? In fact, there's a guy who rides a dinosaur! The Spinosaurus, no doubt! And I thought I was the only one who could do that! And this idea is just batshit insane and really doesn't tie into the movies at all. It's a side villain plan that Louis Doxon had in mind and really had no say in the matter. He just wanted the assets to create his plot for the final film, which this season does tie into to a degree. But with that said, I was not expecting this. Holy shit, forget Dino Riders, this went from Jurassic Park to fucking Beast Wars.
I'd say that's prime. Let's do it!
Is the way it's set up dumb and ridiculous? Absolutely. But I'm sorry, dinosaurs fighting each other will not ever be not entertaining. The whole thing is just crazy. It's so much fun, it's action-packed, and you see several dinosaurs fight and bite and just do all kinds of shit. This is the equivalent of what everybody calls playing with their action figures. You're basically taking an action scene and using your action figures and playing with them as your goddamn animatic. And I'm not gonna lie, it's fun as hell. We even see moments that we don't see in any of the films. For example, we see 2 raptors attack the Spinosaurus. That was a plan originally made for Jurassic Park 3 as the finale. Plus, I'm not gonna lie, it is pretty cool to see the Spinosaurus have a rematch with the Tyrannosaurus. And not just one, but two. And it is glorious. Granted, one of the T-Rex supposedly dies and comes back, which is a bit of a cop-out, but again, it's a kid's show, so I'll kinda let it slide. But yet you'll have the humans die? What the fuck? You can't have any dinosaur deaths? The ending is also left pretty mysterious, with Kenji's father getting away, though side note he was arrested, and the kids going back to their families and starting new lives together. Not to mention, there's a little tease at the end that leads to Fallen Kingdom.
Have you heard of the Lockwood Estate? They're saying that dinosaurs have somehow... I don't want to say any more. Keep your eyes open.
Overall, not a bad finale, but just feels kinda rushed to tie in with the films. And to be fair, seeing the old and new dinosaurs on this show, you could tell this was not just a cash grab on the franchise, but to continue the deal with Universal and Mattel to see as many toys as humanly possible. Which I really need to address here because the merchandise for this franchise is getting out of hand. Now, to be fair, the Mattel toys were cool when they came out for Fallen Kingdom, and beat the hell out of the failure that was the toys in the fourth film by Hasbro. But nowadays, guys, Mattel has pumped out so many of these toys that it's becoming a tad too much. Sure, my collection has grown lately with finding them on secondhand markets, but like, how many times can you make the same T-Rex action figure before it gets old? It really reminds me of the toyetic nature of the Schumacher Batman movies, and while I'm annoyed by it here, I will admit I'm okay with it as a minor flaw.
And I really want to apologize.
Though some of it can be a little lazy. Outside of the T-Rex, the marketing of Bumpy is of course a massive cash-in on the craze that Grogu got with the Mandalorian, which I have dubbed Baby Yoda syndrome.
Baby Yoda, no. Know who that is, Weepy? No, because no.
And unfortunately, it looks like this merchandising empire isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Much like the closure of the original ride when I did my review of the Universal Studios attractions, this was not on the plan when I prepped for this particular episode. But recently, Universal has just released the continuation of Camp Cretaceous with Jurassic World Chaos Theory, reuniting our band of heroes to adulthood and continuing their adventures post-Fallen Kingdom with the dinosaurs on the mainland. I'll admit, I'm not shocked a continuation of the series was gonna happen given the fans' love for it, but if you were to ask me my thoughts on it, and to include it here, I really can't, to be honest. Well, as I edit this episode, I finally watched it and finished it up, and I can happily say, everybody, that this is actually my favorite season of this series. Yeah, I know Chaos Theory is its own show, but it's still a continuation of Camp Cretaceous. And my god, not only did it satisfy me, but it really raised the stakes. I'm not gonna get into any details or major spoilers. This is essentially my first impressions of the new series, and oh my god, it's amazing. Not only are the characters more defined and developed, not only is the story intense and suspenseful, but my god, the animation is 1,000 times better than Camp Cretaceous. No longer using that typical Netflix running animation or any of the facial expressions, they actually took time to put more detail into the character and finally gave the show its own feeling and tone with its animation. Everything looks much more pristine and cleaned up and not that rubbery cartoon Netflix animation look that we see in other shows. It's definitely a step up in quality, and I would actually say the budget is higher here. There's also a much more engaging and suspenseful mystery story about with the show, and yeah, it does leave a bit of a cop-out at the end of it, and the tone is basically a road trip adventure meets an Alfred Hitchcock suspense story with dinosaurs. And when I say suspense, I mean suspense. This actually goes back to the original tone of Jurassic Park, and there are moments in this series I did not just see coming, but my god, is it horrifying. They actually don't shy away from the more grisly and disturbing deaths in comparison to Camp Cretaceous. Not to mention much more adult themes and lessons for these characters that have since grown up, and the redesigns actually look pretty good. I am also aware that some of the voice actors did not come back, especially given one of them is a super popular star now, but the replacement voice actors actually did a good job, all things considered. By the end of it, you kind of figure out who's behind everything, and there's one character that I won't give away, but Jesus Christ, it's inhuman in a way. They also took a couple of elements from Dominion that didn't get much time to be really accepted in the fan base and actually gave them their own. And I'm talking about the Atrociraptors, which I'll talk about when I cover Dominion down the line. Overall, I'm more invested in this show in comparison to Camp Cretaceous, and while I liked it, I think this is a step up, and I'm actually really looking forward to seeing where the story goes, and to see the mystery unfold. I'm much more engaged on this show than I am Camp Cretaceous, because there's a lot more at stake here, and there's a fun mystery to go about it set up. Maybe someday I'll cover the show in more detail when the next Jurassic Park movie hits theaters, but I actually encourage all Jurassic fans to check this one out. It's a damn good series. But I can give my final thoughts on Camp Cretaceous, and overall, I had a fun time watching this series. Sure, it drags a bit and some of the villains are place filler, but the kids have a strong arc in the story, the animation is fun and colorful, the dinosaurs still maintain the awe and fright of the movies, and it does give us some filled-in lore on the film's continuity and canon. It's a show both older fans will like, and it's a great series for kids, to introduce them to the Jurassic Park legacy, coming in at a solid 7 out of 10 for me. It may be a tad slow, but it's honestly one of the more entertaining recent entries in the franchise, and that alone is worth giving it a good time to Netflix and chill.
Something tells me we shouldn't go in there.
Which means we're obviously going in there.
Come on.
You're going to love the extension of Camp Jurassic, with its neighboring camp. We'll have summer camp-based programs to allow more prehistoric education and zoology along with comparative teams during activities.
Roger, don't you think you guys are milking a dry udder here with a Netflix series? I mean, it didn't work for King Kong, but... okay, now, but... Something's wrong. She's never this agitated. What the hell do you think you're doing?
Easy there, Canuck. Just doing some samples.
Well, you seem to be rushing it without letting the tranks kick in. She'll eat you alive with how much distrust she'll have for you people.
We'll authorize this procedure, mister.
Lab. Agent Shanda. Founder one of the engine donors. For Dr. Nedry, MHC.
Nedry?
MHC? You son of a bitch! You're working for the Department of Metahuman Control! Tell them to stand down and get out of there. You're only gonna piss her off.
You're not even authorized to be here.
Security!
Attention all wardens and chroniclers. This is a code white at paddock 9. I repeat, a code white at paddock 9.
Units! You have to train the asset.
Negative, sir. We can't find the dosages. Someone says it's your gun. We'll pin down. Any movement, she'll snatch us up. Monster Island. You didn't say the magic word.
Being hot. I can't close by ignite.
It's not just Paddock 9. It's the whole bloody park.
Sahelanthropus are heading towards the river.
Cetophosaurus and Pachycephalosaurus are out of containment.
Hey, aviary has been breached. We need help. It's all right, everyone. All right. All units request silver evacuating containment island. This is Dr. Quill. I repeat, this is Dr. Quill.
Oh, this is not gonna be a short trip, is it?
Version set up. Get the samples in my client. Stat.